Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie. I am the co-host of Debate Talks. We are the after show of the Privilege Talks. Today, I have quite a few guests. This is our town hall. I have filmmaker Alvin. I have drug counselor Randy Coley. I have JB from Slick Talk Podcast. I have Jordan Coley. She's a wife, writer, welder by trade, and actress. And then soon we have a few more guests joining us later on this afternoon. So, how are you guys? How is everyone today? I'll start with you, Jordan. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. It's a nice fall day in Chicago. Been chilling.
Fall. What's the weather like in Chicago right now?
It's like 50 something
It's
degrees. It's kind
raining,
of cloudy,
cold.
breezy.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
In LA, it's the same. So it's the same. It was the same yesterday. It's gonna be the same next week. It might just be on fire. That's the only difference. How are you, JB? How is your day going?
It's going pretty well. It's starting off pretty well. I'm thankful. Yeah, pretty smooth.
Perfect. And you, Randy, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing just fine.
Perfect.
Chicago, it's rainy, cool, but I like it.
Right, it's all over.
Yep.
And then Alvin, how about you? How are you doing today?
Good. Getting a lot of work done, happy to be here, all that good stuff.
Perfect. Now, today's topic is moving on. The first question I want to start off with everyone is, let's start off with our jobs. We always quit our jobs pretty easily, but now it's a little bit tougher. But why is it so easy for us to quit our jobs but not move on for something like a relationship, our friends, or family? So let's start off with something simple. Oh, how quick are you to quit your job? JB, how quick are you to quit a job?
Oh, I'm super quick to quit a job. I honestly don't believe. Well, for me, for a long time, I don't really. It's hard for me to work for someone else or work for someone to pursue their dreams when I have so many that I want to pursue and that I want to accomplish. So when it comes to a working environment where I feel uncomfortable or where I feel like it's stifling like my growth as a human being or like as a creative or whatever, it's super duper easy for me to just bounce, especially when, I know it's important to set myself up as well to make sure that when I do, bounce from the job, that I'm okay in the meantime until I figure out what the hell I want to do.
So you're saying you don't move on from a job until you have something else lined up, correct?
Well, I'm saying that throughout the process of having the job, in the back of my head, I'm always planning and making sure that if a time comes where I can no longer go through this job or do this job, or I'm just fed up, that I'm in a position to do that. So I'm, and that's just so I don't have to, wait around. Because for me personally, once my mind is made up, my mind is made up. Like I can't even, once I feel like I don't want to be at that job no more, I can't even try to be cordial or have professionalism or, that type of stuff. Like once I'm done, I'm done. So,
Okay. How about you, Alvin? Why is it easier for someone to quit their job than it is anything else like a relationship or family?
Well, quitting a job, I think it's more easier to quit if you already got something lined up. You know what I'm saying? I would actually say it's actually easier to quit a relationship for me than it is to quit a job, because with a job, it's like, that's like your livelihood or whatever, right? While a relationship, I don't necessarily need one to survive, So with a job, just more linked into like necessities, whatever. Where I look at relationships as more as like like a luxury almost. So yeah, it's gonna be hard for me to just quit a job and not have a replacement. Like I can't quit a job unless I know I have something lined up. While relationship, I can quit a relationship regardless if I got another girl waiting for me to be with me or whatever. Like, that's not an issue. So I would actually say it's actually easier getting out of a relationship than it is a job.
Okay.
Or at least for me.
Okay. How about you, Jordan? Is it easier for you to quit your job or quit a relationship?
Neither. 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 Because I have too many variables. I got kids, bills. So it's neither. Even if I had another job lined up, it's too many other variables. Will this schedule match? Is the pay here where I need it to be to make the transition and wait the 2-3 weeks it takes to get paid? It's too many variables. So neither one is easy. Of course, a relationship isn't easy to quit. It may be a little bit easier to decide that it's time to go than at my job. My job, I could say it's time to go every day. When I first wake up, I'd be like, I want to quit. But of course, I know I can't. But it's easier to decide to walk away from a relationship. Like, it's time, now the action comes with it. But by the time you decide to walk away from a relationship, you done already left.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So your job, no, it's not neither one is easy for me. It's too many variables.
Okay. And Randy, how about you? Is it easier for you to quit a job or is it easier for you to quit a relationship?
Relationships. I could walk away from that easy. um, when I was younger, I think I would quit a job, like go to work one day, be like, oh, I'm tired of y'all, I'm out. I'm a little older now, so you want to build some stability, make some money, do some things. So, but one of the things that I think I started doing was saying, hey, I'm going to invest in me. So I started looking at opportunities to invest in, like have my own business, do some entrepreneurial stuff on the side, so that when I got tired of that everyday 9 to 5, I had something else to back me up. Relationships, I'm gone. Like, um, I think that's easy to walk away from. And when you're younger, I'm a little older now. I'm not so quick to get into a relationship now. But when I was younger, it's like, oh, okay, you won't do that. Somebody else will next. So when I was younger, it was easier. I'm a little older now, so I'm not too quick to get in, so I'm not gonna too quick to get out.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So today's topic, I divided it into three. We'll first talk about relationships, then we'll talk about family, and then we'll talk about friends. So when it comes to relationships, is there a timeline or a specific moment when you should say goodbye? And if so, how do you do it? So let's start back off with you, Randy. So, yeah, is there a specific moment when you should say goodbye and how do you do it?
Um, as far as a relationship one on one, like a guy you're dating or something like that.
Correct.
I have variables. When I was younger, I had like a cutoff. You had a certain time frame. Either we're moving forward or we're getting out. So if we're just dating, having a good time, seeing each other, you got 2 years because I'm young and I'm gonna have some fun. After that 2 year mark, if we're not moving on to courtship and marriage, I'm done. Like, and they knew I was done. It was like, oh, okay, well, we had a great run. See you later. um,
So, how do
yeah,
you do that? How do you establish that at the beginning of the relationship or after a few months? You're like, you know what, I'm going to give you another year, or you tell that at the beginning, like, you have 2 years. We're either going somewhere or I'm out.
it depends. Like I grew up in the friends with benefits stage. Like when that first happened, and like I was dating at the prime of that, like the '80s and early '90s. So I had those relationships where it was just, hey, I'm here for the sad, the fun, kick it. When that's done, I'm done. And then I had some serious relationships, but I went in like, hey, if we're in this for marriage. If it's not looking like that's going to happen, you got a time frame involved. And once the time frame kicked in, we're done. I think the longest relationship I stayed in was 5 years, and we never lived together. We never shared money. So it was easy to say, when we're done, we're done.
Okay. And how about you, Alvin? When is a specific moment when you should say goodbye?
Oh, this thing free. Say that again, Steph. It kind of froze.
Oh, yeah. I was saying, is there a specific timeline or moment when you should say goodbye? And if so, how do you do it?
Oh yeah, I think that's different for each person because I think different people have different things that are like deal breakers, right? So
Mhm.
it's like for me, I think once it gets to the point to where we start arguing over dumb stuff, it's
Mm.
probably time to go. Like you're arguing over, hey, you should have took a left right here driving instead of a right. This way's faster. Like if that turns into a huge argument, like you just arguing over stuff that's not even supposed to be argued about, that's one telltale sign of leaving. Also, another thing is if it comes to a point to where my eyeballs are roaming a little bit too far from who I'm with, and it's like, okay, like and that's happened to me a couple times where I'm with a good person, she's nice, all of that, but it's like I'm looking around and it's like, yo, okay, so I usually cut it off before I even start cheating or anything like that. So I just be like, you know what? Instead of hurting people's feelings and doing all of that, let's chop it off. That's why all my relationships been so short because I don't cheat, so I end it instead
Mm.
of just stringing it along. Like I could make a relationship last a long time if I'm cheating, right? You have your cake and eat it too, right? So I usually just cut it off
That
and then
makes
it'd be
sense.
it'd be over. Yeah.
All right, and how about you, JB? When is a specific time or timeline when you say goodbye, and how do you do it?
Um, I think when things start to become like difficult, like just natural things that you're supposed to enjoy with your partner, when it becomes just like Alvin was saying, when you have situations and they turn into bigger situations when they didn't need to, the disagreement turns into like a whole week argument, or if you guys can't be in the same room too long, or you just don't have that enjoyment that you had, like when they like to say about the honeymoon stage in the beginning. I know personally that doesn't last, all the time. But if, there's consecutive days that are going by and consecutive weeks and months, and things start to become toxic, and, you know, um, you don't want to be around that person, then maybe I'm not quick to go ahead. Like I was talking about, I'm not quick personally to go ahead and leave anything. Well, except for a job. But when it comes to like commitment, human beings and relationships and everything like that, I like to hold on, because obviously, me personally, I'm a person of believing that people that come into your life for a reason, and whether that be like a season or whatever the case may be, I want to make sure that their purpose and my purpose is accomplished together for the reason why they entered my life. But also, with saying that, I wanted to jump back real fast to your first question, which is about, was it easy to leave a job or relationship, whatever the case may be. I did want to elaborate a little bit, but I personally feel like it's a bigger conversation to have, especially in the Black community, on why a lot of us, or some of us, feel that we need to be trapped into a job, or to feel that there aren't any other options, or to feel that we can't have multiple streams of income. If a lot of us feel like we have to be in a job in order to support ourselves, we can't just leave, especially if it's a toxic, or if it's not doing us any good. If it's just bringing us income and we're going home late at night sad or unhappy, then I think it's a conversation to have to hopefully kind of encourage us to figure out more options to do along with having that job. So not necessarily putting our full focus on the job, but also maybe having a second job, or like I believe Randy was saying, figuring out ways to bring more income in and be an entrepreneur and things like that. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, I think it's a bigger conversation to have, especially in our community, because in other communities, I'm not trying to compare, but in other communities, when a lot of people are fed up, they leave and they rely on their bank account, you know what I'm saying? Or they rely on their husband, or, they rely on other assets or investments and things like that. So I do want to say that about that.
And I do agree with you, because also other cultures, they have other family members to support who are also financially stable. So even if you happen to get terminated early or leave early on your own, it's like, okay, well, you can, here's some money for the next few months, or here's some startup capital to start your own thing. So
Exactly.
Jordan, how about you? When is it time or moment for you to say goodbye?
I don't know. I find that question difficult in real life because I guess I would be the person who uh finds it difficult to let go.
Mm,
So but what I have learned and what I am learning is that when someone disturbs your peace, then it's probably time to let them go.
mm,
And I mean it as in like you could be, for me, I could be just fine, moving along. My days are good. And then this person calls or shows up, and now I'm disrupted. I'm angry, upset, agitated. So it's like, yeah, I don't need you around because you upset the balance.
right.
So I think that there's time to go. What I'm learning about myself is it'll be time to go when that person starts to disturb your peace.
Okay. And thank you for joining us, JoJo. The
Hello.
question is there a timeline or specific moment when you should say goodbye? And if so, how do you do it?
Um, Good question. It's deep. Sorry, something's bugging me over here. It's deep. I heard y'all sharing y'all things, and hello, thank you guys for having me. Excuse me, thanks for having me. I would have to agree with all of y'all. You know, for the people that I heard, Jordan, Justin, Alvin. When it's time to go, it's time to go. You know, me personally, I feel that if it's no longer serving you, that's a double-sided thing. You know, when we talk about if it's no longer serving you, and then you talk about why you're there to begin with, are you being considerate of it serving the other person? I mean, you know, multiple things. So anyway, I feel like it's time to go for me when it's no longer serving me, when it's no longer neither one of us are learning from the situation or relationship or friendship or, you know, employer, whatever that may be. But I have had to let go many times, and none of those times were joyous. So it's not a comfortable thing at all.
When it comes to me, I stay a little too long because this goes into the next question. I stay too long because there was such a high divorce rate and so many people leave without, sticking it out. But at the end of it, I'm almost broken. So it's somewhat of whether or not it's serving me, but it's more about whether or not I'm even noticing that I'm no longer being served. Because sometimes we get so lost in trying to make things work and bending and twisting and so forth that we even change a little bit and it hinders us the most. So sometimes it's better that the other person ends it, but there has to be this one breaking moment that changes everything, and it's like, you know what, I just have to go. I can't do this anymore. So
Uh,
times, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, to just say, I have been told, and I mean, I've witnessed it myself, and I don't know if there's pros or cons to it. Maybe this group can help me unravel it. But the cutoff game, I've been told my cutoff game is strong. You know, moving on is not something that necessarily, you know, bothers me. But when you talk about cutting someone off, is that necessarily moving on? Is that the same thing? Do y'all classify it as the same thing, moving on and cutting someone off? Same thing?
Not necessarily, because you can move on from somebody with good blood, like y'all don't really hate each other, but y'all just decide to separate and y'all still might be friends. A cutoff is like, I will never talk to you again
Hmm.
ever in life, kind of thing, So I
Deep.
do think moving on is like, okay, we're not meant, but I'll still be cool with you. While cutoff is just like, nah, yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even wanna look at you again at all.
I'm trying to, and I hear you on that. I'm trying to figure that out too, because it's a fine line for me. Specifically, Alvin, for you, and sorry, Stephanie, I'll give the mic back to you. But Alvin, are you cool with any of your exes? Like specifically,
I'm
I'm not friends with any of my exes, and I'm sorry, I'll let you answer. I'm not friends with any of my exes, and I'm not saying that we're cordial, but I know people who could still talk to their exes and, you know, like they're friends. Like it's, you know, and they could be in a whole new relationship, and their mate is accepting them still being friends. But anyway, yeah, are you cool with any of your exes, or have you moved on, or is that considered cutoff for exes?
yeah. So there's like I'm okay. Like I'm okay with all of my exes except one, really. Like one I can't, like my one I had a couple years ago. That one I can't even, I don't want to see her or talk to her at all. While the other ones is like, if I see them, I'll be like, hey, what's up? I mean, are we still kicking it? Are we talking on the phone every day? Nah, but if I look at them, I'll be like, hey, what's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it depends, but in generally, I'm not cool with any of them in the regards of I'm talking to them regularly on the phone, like, or
Got it.
Okay. So
Yeah,
my question overall is, should you leave in the first place? Because ghosting is so common, and it's so easy.
Oh wait.
He's still talking.
Oh.
His audio.
Elvin, you're a mute. We can't hear you.
Oh, hold on. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Now we can. Yeah.
So
can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can. Yeah.
Hello?
So my question is, should you leave in the first place? Because it's more common to ghost someone and stick around.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my bad.
No, it's good. We hear you now.
My phone got cut off.
No, it's good. Sorry.
So JB, let me ask that to you. Should you leave in the first place? Because like I said, it's more common to ghost someone than it is to stick around. So should you even leave at all?
I also think that every circumstance is different. For everybody is different. I'm one, like I said, to usually try to work out some things until it becomes like tough for me and it becomes unhealthy for me. So I'm not easy. I can understand the aspect of like JoJo was saying about, cutting people off and, cutoff game being strong. I used to be in that space, but I had to take a step back and try to figure out why it was so easy cutting off people that at one point meant a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that say about me as a person if I'm easily able to discard someone that at one point meant something to me, whether that was—
You got time for zero bullshit. Sorry.
You said what? What did you say?
You just got time for zero bullshit. I mean, excuse my language, but I mean, I would like to hear how that has helped you change, because for me, I can be a straightforward, blunt person, and I expect other people to be the same way with me, not like beating around the bush. And so, that's interesting. And we can unpack that at a different time, but yeah, interesting.
No, I mean, it's obviously like a work in progress. It's a work in progress. I mean, obviously there's times where somebody does something that I just feel so strongly against that I'm like, you know what? There's no coming back from this. Like, that's why I said every circumstance is different. But for the most part, overall, I try to, instead of just immediately cutting someone off, I give them a few chances. And then with those chances, I also try to set expectations like, this is what's going on. And I think a lot of us fail in a lot of different things is because we don't communicate properly what we want or what we deserve or what we need. So when that communication is missing, it just opens space for people to just run wild and treat you anyway. But I'm a communicator, so I'm not just gonna allow you to keep on doing shit without me communicating anyway. So that's it.
And then how about you, Randy? How do you feel about that? Should you even leave in the first place? Because we're, like I said, we ghost and we cut people off so easy. So how do you feel about that?
Well, a new term is ghost. Back in the day, it was just peace, like see you. But I think the thing is, I'm a person, I'm always giving somebody the benefit of the doubt. I'm going far past where you should stop. So when I get to the point where I'm done, I'm not receiving phone calls. I'm blocking your number, your picture. I'm not your friend on Facebook. If you walk down the street, I'm crossing the street. I mean, when I'm done, I'm all the way done. I don't even, as a matter of fact, you better drive the long way around. Do not drive past my house. When I'm done, I'm all the way done. And you know it. I'm telling you, I don't want to see you coming, go the other way. So I think, when you get to that point, the communication has already been stated. You already said, I'm done. Just last week, I was done with somebody and I blocked their number. They were still calling like, hey, could you tell them to answer me? But they knew they didn't know they were blocked until they knew they were blocked.
Mm.
but they had made me feel to the point, I had felt to the point that I had been, mistreated or misused or whatever. And I was like, that's it, I'm done. So I think I go all the way past the place of, okay, here we are, this is over. This, whether it's family, whether it's a friend, whether it's a lover, whatever it is, when I get past that point, I'm done. Period. I don't ghost you. You already know. I'm done.
And that's
I don't ghost you. It's no disappearing. Yeah.
And I think that's the difference in our age difference, because with our age difference, we won't say anything. So people just keep reaching out, and there's no response. Then eventually we know that we're ghosted. But before, you guys would tell them, no, it's over. And then if someone keeps coming back, then you need to block them because you're not listening at that point. There's a difference between you not listening and us not communicating that it's over. Those are completely night and day. So my next question is friends with benefits.
Can I touch on that right quick? I just got one last thing. Go ahead, Albert. The best thing ever I've experienced is the mutual ghost, where we both just stop talking. Like, nobody has to be, it's like a mutual ghost. Like, they stop calling me, I start calling them, and it's just a smooth exit, right? Because sometimes then if y'all see each other later, it'd be like, hey, what up? Yeah, you stop calling me, and then you might link up again. But I do like the mutual ghost, where it's just at the same time. I like that.
Is that considered taking a break, kind of? Because when I've done the mutual ghost, and I had that happen a few times, and in Hollywood, ghosting has become, I guess, a normal thing prior to COVID. But JB, and maybe you could speak on it with me, because we hang around some of the same people, same crowd. So anyway, we ghost each other, but then we see each other 2 months at the BET extravaganza, and then we shake up like everything's okay, and like you said, hang out. But we ghosted each other for a reason, and I often have a problem with people, if that happens, with the people who can't acknowledge the ghost in the room. You know what I'm saying? They can't acknowledge what happened. It's just like we come back, kick it, like it's just all okay again. Like, oh yeah, and wait, but Alvin, real quick, the statement they like to use is, they say real friends are, and my colleague, maybe you can help me out with this one. Real friends cannot talk for weeks and years, but as soon as you link back up, everything is back cool again. You know what I'm saying? Like, where is that fine line of why we ghosted each other anyway?
Yeah, because sometimes it don't even be no reason. Like with me, like sometimes I just get real busy and I don't be talking to nobody. It don't be no particular reason. Like I'm angry with them, and then sometimes somebody else might have a lot of stuff going on. They might have family issues they going on, and they don't want to talk to nobody. Like there's just sometimes there's, now it's different if there's like a huge argument or something and a huge disagreement, and we just stop talking. I think that's different from like just a random mutual ghosting for no particular reason other than we just stop talking every day.
But the only issue with that is you won't be able to get to know someone. If you're always going in and out of someone's life, you're never going to get that close connection, because you're not going to always link up with each other, because there's that part of intimacy of always being around someone, the touch, getting to know them, getting to know their things that you can't through text message. So there's no way to officially get a better bond if you keep weaving in and out of someone's life. But my question would be, at what age does that need to stop? When do we need to stop ghosting and so forth?
There's a certain thing about, because the age difference is a factor. The generation now is texting and video chat, whereas when I was coming along and dating more frequently and spending time with people, we met up as groups. We would meet up in restaurants and have conversations every Friday. We would go in groups to the movies, or everybody at the beach or something. This generation doesn't see people every day, or see their group of friends, talk to their friends every day like that. So the ghosting happens because, okay, I don't have to talk to you. I'm upset with you or whatever. I don't have to answer your phone call. Whereas if I'm upset with you on Friday and we got plans as a group to go out Saturday, I still might see you.
Mm.
and we're going to either come to a consensus or we're not going to talk, but we're still going to be in a group of people together.
Yeah.
And so the conversation's still going to go on. You can't be ignored in a whole group. I might not talk to you, but you're going to hear my conversation. You're going to know what I was doing this week, where I was. And so you are more likely to pick up that conversation again. Maybe we might not talk for a week, but in 2 weeks, we're still going to meet up again and see each other in a larger circle. Whereas now it's not done that way. It's very limited. It's the time you spend with people is even very limited. And with COVID, you really not spending time with people. You're not seeing them face to face. You're not talking to them. And sometimes you just, sometimes you got that group, you got a large group of people. So you have a peacemaker in the group that says, man, y'all not doing this every day. Y'all not gonna do this longer than this. Better fix it. So you're gonna go back and have that conversation that needed to be had. Whereas now if you go somebody, they just gone. It's like, oh, well, I don't know what happened. So
I think
that's the difference.
Yeah, and then to add to that, I think social media over the years has attributed to more ghosting as we move forward. Like more people are ghosting because I think as a generation or people, avid social media users, those of us who are, we feel like we can keep in touch or keep track of see how you're doing just by a picture, or if you're posting, or if you're on Facebook or Twitter, we know you're okay. Versus back in the day, we actually had to reach out or hear through the grapevine how somebody's doing. So that's to add to what you're saying. Very good.
I think that on the other end too, with social media playing a role in it, is the instant gratification that goes with being on social media. So you're trying to build a relationship with somebody is not the same as the instant gratification that comes when you swipe on Tinder or Plenty of Fish or whatever you're doing when you're dating, especially internet dating. So I think that the turnover rate is higher for ghosting when you deal with internet dating too, because here you are swiping on this person, they look good, you have a couple second conversation, y'all link up, hook up, maybe have 2-3 weeks of fun, and then maybe 1 or 2 busy days cause y'all to fall off because y'all didn't build. You just saw this fine person and y'all had a good vibe in a couple 3 weeks, and then now you're back swiping and in the messages, and it just keeps going a cycle of instant gratification versus building. And then you get into that and you rather have the instant instead of the build. So I think social media helps with you being your instantaneous quick fix versus you actually having to engage and ask questions and talk. And it's not variations of how are you, because that's easy. People getting your DMs and stuff. Hey, how's it going?
And I think really what
and that's it.
But I also want to counter to all of this.
Can y'all hear me?
In the times where we're moving on too quickly, what should we do about taking somebody back?
Is my mic working?
Yes.
Oh, okay, y'all can hear me. No, I was about to, just real
Thank you.
Quick. Y'all touching on, I think, really the overarching problem with everything, right? When it comes to ghosting, when it comes to relationships not lasting, we have almost unlimited options in this world, right? If you go back 200, 300 years ago, you may only meet 50 people in your whole life, right? But so if you're in a town and you see a girl there, okay, cool, I'm gonna marry her because the next girls are like 30 miles away and I got to take a horse and buggy over there. And you know what I'm saying? So it's real easier to stay in a relationship like that. But now with social media, I can get on Zoom, Instagram, Facebook. I can talk to anybody all over the world. Millions, literally millions of women at my disposal on my phone. So it's like the unlimited options have made it.
Hey, Alvin, I hate to cut you off, but I also wanted to bring it back to taking someone back, because
go ahead. Yeah.
we're talking about moving forward, but what do we feel about taking someone back? Jordan, how about you? What do you think about taking someone back that since you moved forward from? What are your thoughts on that?
No, not in a not if we're dating now. I'm married. So in a marriage, it's a different consideration. Uh, where I stand today, because I'm separated. And where I stand today, no, I don't really want to take my spouse back, but this 6 years in the making. So 6 years of endeavoring to work it out. But in my dating relationships, no, once it's over, it was over. And I think it was because why revisit it? I don't think that people change. Actually, I don't. I don't believe that people change. I think that you meet them where they are and you love them for who they are, and then love makes y'all love one another according to y'all love languages and needs. But if they didn't have communication 2 years ago, I really wouldn't believe that communication was any different. I think that you tolerated it then, and you will see now that you won't, that you just don't tolerate it. I have rarely ever seen comebacks that actually were true because people are people. And so I don't believe that people too often change, especially when y'all two come back together, y'all the same two people. Our old habits that hard. And it's just so easy for someone who you have a weak or vulnerable spot to slip back into what you were excusing before you said enough is enough.
And I think that's one thing that's kept me from being in contact with my exes, any of them, is because, of some of the things that you said. Whether good times, bad times, you remember certain things. And yeah, if you're going to feel like you're going to, I felt like I would be possibly put in the same situation again. And I'm not one for knocking my head over once or twice.
And I also think it depends on like what the situations were, because whereas Jordan believes that people don't change, I personally do believe that people do change. I'm a testament, at this stage in my life, like I've changed a lot from when I was in my younger 20s and turning up and not wanting to be committed and everything like that. And in the age of social media that Alvin was talking about, and how he's right, there's a lot of people at our disposal that we can, talk to via Zoom or whatever. But I think it's important to realize that, there's still there just because of certain things, not extreme things, like obviously physical violence or, type of mental violence or whatever towards you. But there's certain things that I feel like are able to be worked over, or to allow a person to give room to grow and say, well, maybe there were different variables that played a part of them acting this way when we were together. Money is a huge issue in relationships. It can have people acting out their ass. Insecurity is a huge issue in, relationships, and have people acting differently in a relationships. So if a person was to come back to you and say, hey, I found a job, I'm getting good money now. I'm more secure with myself. I found God, whatever the case may be, that they come back to you on a different level than they were before, and they're actually changed. We can agree to disagree, but I personally believe people do change. Probably not everybody, but there are people out there that do change. So if they do come back to you and they're like, listen, this is who I am now. I want to be with you. We were working together. We were making it work in the beginning. Just in the middle, we lost, sight of what we wanted at the end. And here I am again. So I think for me personally, I try to give people room to grow and, maybe allow them back into my life. And then if they show signs, that they are still exhibiting the same patterns and behavior that they did a while ago, then just like y'all was saying earlier, like cut the motherfuckers off. If it's easy to cut them off again.
No, I think we should ask the OG in the room, right?
Oh, I was gonna move on to.
But can we just ask OG really quick, the OG in the room? Moving on, people coming back, like who have you taken people back? I'm sorry, Stephanie, I know this is your show platform. Have you taken people back? And how does that look for you?
I did make the mistake of taking somebody back. After 12 years we were apart. Maybe it might have been a little longer than that. But it was worse going back the second time because they didn't forget the relationship, how it ended. They didn't forget all of the things that went on between us. And they had a grudge, even though they might have had a strong attraction. They might have still had emotional ties to me. They still had issues with me. And going back the second time, it was worse. It was so much worse because now, having been apart 12 years, I've forgiven, but they haven't. So it was ugly. It was really ugly. So that was the one time I made the mistake of going back. And they are an ex. They're an ex for a reason. Never ever go
Agreed.
back.
I agree with you.
And that's those same exes, they know your triggers.
Yeah.
They know how to get under your skin. And even in like JB said, yeah, they may have found God. I wouldn't lie if they I wouldn't deny it. They may have found God, but they still know how to get up to you and inside. This is why that they did become an ex, because you realize they began to take you out of character. And any little thing to trigger you, and you're back there. Y'all didn't go through counseling and all that type of stuff. Y'all right back, and the junk is still there that was left. So I don't think revisiting is ever a good idea.
So I want to go into with change, since Jordan, you don't feel that people have changed. JB, you do feel that people have changed. Let's move on to family. Now, I have a few family members on this call, the co-leads. I have Jordan and Randy. Jordan's my cousin, and Randy's my aunt.
Why did I just put that together?
So
I was like, wait, they do have the same last name.
They do.
Yes.
Now, having toxic family members can hinder your growth. Are you supposed to move on from family?
Yes.
Alvin, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Right.
Alvin, you tell me, should we move on from family?
It depends on how extreme it is. There is a term called loving from a distance. And sometimes you do have to love certain family members from a distance, at least for a while, you know, because family, y'all connected not by relationships, y'all connected by blood, you know. So there's a natural feeling of obligation. You know, you could have family members on drugs, like a random person you don't know that's on drugs or crackhead or anything like that. You don't have to care. But if you have a brother or a sister that's a crackhead and you seeing them on the side of the street talking to themselves, yeah, that's going to affect you. You know what I'm saying? So, but sometimes you got to let that person go. If you try to help that person with their problems and they keep reverting back, sometimes you gotta drift away and love them from a distance. But I think it has to be very extreme cases. Like sometimes people cut family members off for like petty stuff, like, you know, my dad didn't buy me the car I wanted, I'll never talk to you again. Like just you know what I'm saying? It's like it has to be like real stuff. Like the thing that this family member is doing to you is now messing up your life. Okay. So if it comes to that point to where now it's not just, hey, we have disagreements, you're actively destroying things I got going on in my life, yeah, I'm gonna have to love you from a distance.
Okay. Let me hear from my family. Oh, this is a white privilege. It is kind of a white privilege.
Tell your parents you don't want the car, you mad, or cutting folks off because of that. That's a white privilege. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's white privilege.
Yeah.
For my high school graduation, I got a 93 Geo Prism from my father. I was grateful, okay? I would have never looked at him and talked about, I don't want to talk to you no more over this car.
But if you think about it on that episode of Moesha, remember when she got that Jeep? Y'all remember? Remember when she got that Jeep? She was grateful.
How about my aunt, Randy? Is it time? Should you move on from family? Because Alvin already said love them from a distance, but should you move on?
I think all relationships have an expiration period. And it sounds cold to say, but there are toxic relationships even in families, whether it's parents, siblings, cousins, whatever. There are toxic relationships, and sometimes to cut them off can help you, and it can save them. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes you don't get to make up and come back. Life situations change, but for the sake of that person and for the sake of yourself, sometimes you have to walk away, and that's not always the popular answer. I gave somebody an example once in counseling. I said, your family is tied to you. It's like your left and your right arm. You have a left and a right arm. Your left and right arm may not respond the way you want them to. To cut them off sometimes hurts you more than you needed to. And you can't fix it.
Mm.
But if you allow rehab to come in, sometimes you can save that left arm or that right arm and still use it. So sometimes you have to back up from people. You have to say, hey, for the betterment of us, each of us separately, we're gonna back up off of each other. And sometimes you don't get to fix it. You don't get to come back. Sometimes whatever happens, it's over. But yeah, I do believe you have to end relationships and families.
All right, how about you, JoJo and JB? Moving on from family, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think I take more of Alvin's approach with I think you said taking a break or kind of loving from a distance. I think that's been the best approach for me when it comes to family members. I have a small family. It's kind of dwindled down over the years. And so to be holding grudges and to say I'm moving on from people who are one, older than me, and two, who I haven't seen in quite a while, like alone, to say that I'm moving on. So love them from a distance. Let them do their thing and let them do my thing, as long as they're not interfering any type of way. Yeah, I agree, love them from a distance. I mean, some of them can be irritating, some of them can be have their ways, but at the end of the day, we are connected by blood. And so yeah, loving from a distance and giving people their time, also allowing myself to communicate to them where I'm at in life, how I like to be treated, because a lot of family members sometimes can still have the perception that we're still little kids or we're still the children or their little nephew and stuff like that. And, sometimes communication can get kind of blurred, as we get older. So loving from a distance.
How about you, JB?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with JoJo just said. Like, I ultimately think that it's very circumstantial, depending on the circumstance. If it was extreme, then yeah, I definitely want my peace. And I don't, no matter who it is, you're going to have to bounce, but it has to be extreme for me. And then when it comes to like loving from a distance, like, I feel like I naturally have fell into that a lot in my family, is loving people from a distance and focusing on myself, whether they've done something wrong or not. I feel like we all don't communicate with our family members as much as we should. So but the problem and my worry with doing that is, when you love someone from a distance or you cut them off temporarily and then something happens to them or something happens to you, and then now you have to live with that weight or that burden or that trauma of loving someone from a distance because of a miscommunication or something that they've done or you've done, and you never get to make that right again with that person because they're passed away. So I understand the aspect of taking a step back and loving from a distance. Get your space, get your peace, do what you need to do to get that. But also we need to be more accountable with having conversations with one another and coming to a resolution. There's a lot of the shit that be going on. Well, I'll speak from my personal experience. A lot of the shit that goes on in my family is so minute. So shit, like, if y'all don't come to the kitchen table and work this shit out and let's eat some food after, like, why are we like making a small disagreement turn into like a whole not speaking to someone for like years? Like, are you serious? Like, are y'all the adults or, are we the adults?
Right.
So,
And to counter all of that, who are you supposed to turn to? We're loving people from a distance, we're cutting people off and we're giving each other space. But when shit hits the fan, you're supposed to turn to your family. And who are you supposed to turn to? Because then when you turn to them, they're like, oh, you only come to me when you need something. So, and then it brings up all other stuff and so forth. So are we supposed to kind of tough it through it or just figure it out? What should we do with that?
I think there's this, okay, in my particular case, I'm somewhat of an introvert. I love being alone. Like, being alone in my own world without anybody in it is like a comfort zone, right? So with me, I've never necessarily needed a person to talk to or support me with something like that, to turn to, because it's like, I'm pretty like self-sufficient, even to the point to where if I'm going through something, I don't really want to talk to anybody. You know what I'm saying? So I guess it depends on the person. Like if you're more of an extrovert person, you probably would want to manage how you talk to people or whatever, or family members, because you know when you hit that rough time, you're gonna need to talk to somebody. You know, so it's depending what kind of person you are. But with me, it's yeah, just I like being alone.
He makes up a good, Alvin brings up a good point though. I honestly think that like type of mindset is with a lot of Black men in general, is believing that we're self-sufficient and that we don't have to rely on anyone, or we don't have to, call anyone and ask for advice, or, depend on anyone. And I mean, for me personally, I can only speak for myself, and what I believe should be the case is just the fact that we all need help at times. That doesn't necessarily make it financial help or anything like that, but there are times personally for myself and from people that I know that just want someone to talk to, want someone that can relate to what they're going through. And a lot of the times that ends up, for me, being a lot of my cousins or siblings, and be like, oh, guess what happened, blah, 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 because they grew up with us. They know the circumstances of who we are as people and everything like that. So I'm all for being independent and self-sufficient and everything like that. But I feel like at the end of the day, like there are going to be times where you just want to just lay your head down and say, this is what happened, like, or can you do this for me, or can you help me with this, or I just feel like we have those moments sometimes.
And then I want to, because we use a lot of our friends as family. That's become the new thing. We see it a lot on television. There's TV shows like Martin, Living Single, Friends, Seinfeld. You make your own new family, but there's a time where you have to move on from your friends as well. So we're going on to that topic with your so-called friend breakup. How did you know that your friendship was irreparable? Yeah, irreparable. Let's start off with you, JoJo. Have you ever had a friend breakup, and how did you know that you just could never go back to it?
Good question. I have had a friend breakup, 15 plus years friendship. And it was kind of like my brother. Like, we were brothers. And so I knew it was time to head on up out of that thing. Well, one, we pretty much stopped chatting, associating in 2011. Then we were hanging out over the years and stuff like that, and going to friends' events and stuff. And I noticed that I was still blocked. I went to tag him on, social media. I went to tag him and found out that he had me blocked. And we had been to, he still had me blocked from 2011. And we had been going out, seen out a few times. And so it's like, that was my time to say, let's just keep the nail in the coffin. Because it's like, it's still something there. Like you said, Mama Coley, that, if you had somebody that came back in your life years later or came back and they had a grudge or they were holding a revenge. So my thing is, if we fell out in 2011 and we decide in 2015 to start hanging back out, but then you secretly still got me blocked on IG, I don't know if we're ready for a friendship. And the fact that I have to revisit that thought lets me know to just leave it where it was at, like I probably should have done, so.
And then I'd like to hear from Randy. How about you? But since you're a little bit older than us, have you had a friend breakup, and how did you know that you can never go back to the way it used to be? Like, what happened?
I have one friend that I have known since I was 5. We grew up on a block together. We still talk, and we don't run around a lot every day together, but we still hit each other up every couple of months to make sure we're okay. Most of my other relationships are 20 years or under. And so a couple of years ago, I had a friend that was at my house, and we were sitting up talking, having a conversation, and we have fallen out before, a couple of times before, where we didn't talk for maybe a year or two, and then we picked back up. This particular instance, we had a conversation, and something going on with them, something going on with me. And I'm the kind of friend, I talk to you all day. Like I could be at work. I had a phone, earpiece in. I'm talking to you while I'm working. I'm talking to you in the car. You texting me, whatever. And then this person showed up at my house and said, hey, I just want to talk or whatever. I'm thinking I talk to you all day. Come on, I'm home now. I got these little people, I'm trying to cook them dinner, what's going on? And so when they asked me a question, I gave them an answer like, do you think I was wrong? I was like, yes, you were wrong. You were dead wrong, and they didn't like to hear that. So their next statement was, I was just looking for some support from you. And so that like hit me, like it was like a shot. What do you mean I don't support you? I didn't talk to you all day. I didn't talk you through the situation like for 6 hours. Are you kidding? So, the conversation got heated. And I was like, I don't care what you do next, just get out of here.
Mm.
And when they were leaving, I could see they were hurt. I could see, their feelings were hurt or whatever. But as they were going out the door, I was thinking to myself, this is the very last time I'm going to deal with this.
Mm.
Because we had other instances where we had a situation, didn't talk for a year or two, made up, came back. This was like the third occurrence. See, and as I told you, I will go far past where I think I should stop. So when I get to the point where I'm done, it's like I said, circle wide, don't drive past my house. I don't have a conversation. When I got to that point, I'm done. So with that, it was a difficult time for me too. I was going through something personally. And when I told them, I said, I always support you. I'm the one at that moment not feeling supported.
Mm.
And when they walked out the door, I thought that the door's closed. And from that moment, that was 2017 to this moment, I haven't had another conversation with them. And as I said, I see them from time to time, but I do not engage them. When I'm done, I'm done. And it takes a minute. Like I said, I go far past where I'm supposed to be at. But when I get to that, I'm done. I'm done. That's why I said I can cut off family. It is not easy. It's not easy because you still love them. They're still in your thoughts. They're still in your heart. But if you get to that point where you're feeling like you're misused or whatever, you have to cut them off.
Yeah.
Because it's a detriment to you. You start I start feeling less worthy. If I'm taking garbage from you, I'm taking garbage from everybody. So when I get to the cutoff point, it's like, oh, this is self-preservation now. I'm preserving that point of myself where I have to maintain a level of civility for myself.
Right.
Because then I'll start eating bad. I'll stop sleeping. I might go back to drinking. So I literally, when I get to the cutoff, it's like, no, I'm done. This is self-preservation.
And then for me, and then I'll end it on this because I don't want to keep you guys over. For me, when I've had a few friend breakups, but the final time is the final time. And like my aunt said, is like, I already extended past our friendship. When I feel disrespected, I'm out. You will never get the old Stephanie. You'll never get the text every other day. Let's hang out. Let's go to dinner. Here's some money, whatever. You never get that again because I feel disrespectful. Disrespected. So once I'm disrespected, I'm out. Like that's it. We could even be Facebook friends, but no.
Look, I'm not even their Facebook friend. They blocked on Facebook too.
Right.
Okay. Listen.
But I do want to,
and I'm not holding grudges either. When I tell somebody we're done, when I'm done with them, I'm not holding a grudge. I've forgiven them because I have to forgive them and then forgive myself for letting it go on so long.
right.
It's just, and yes, you can't get that time back. And like I said, some people you lose along the way.
How do we feel? I'm sorry. Go ahead. How do we feel about blocking people though? I mean, do we want them to see the glow up, or do we need to block them? Because like, how do y'all feel about that?
I don't block nobody because I want to see who's calling. Like, I don't want them to call from another number. Because that's all they end up doing.
Yeah.
But
no, when I'm done with you, I'm done with you. You don't have to see my glow up, my fall down, my get up. Like I said, I don't hold grudges and everything. But when I'm done, I'm all the way done. Like I want you to live and be happy and prosper and everything else, but just away from me. Period.
yes. But
I think that most of the time, if I block somebody, it's probably to prevent me from getting in tune with them. If I feel the need to want to reach out and make amends or try to make it right, depending on how we fell out, even if they were in the wrong. But if I don't block you, then I am done, and I don't care if you call or not. But if I feel I'll still be weak or something, or you have a soft spot in my heart, that's when I block. I usually block when I'm the one who can't stand my ground on that one.
So I do want to end it there because I know I kept you guys over a little bit longer. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to talk about this topic. And if it's such a big enough topic, maybe we could do a part 2 or whatnot. But Alvin, Jordan, Randy, JB, JoJo, thank you guys for joining. And I hope you guys have a rest of your good evening.
Thank you.
You
guys.
too.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Be safe, everybody.
Good
All right.
night.
It's only entertainment.